This is VOCM Open Line.
Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626.
The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
Well, good Tuesday morning, everyone, and welcome to Open Line. Interim host Brian Callahan with you this week, but David Williams, the steady hand, producing the show, and he'll be there. The numbers to call, of course, 709-273-5211 in the St. John's metro area. Elsewhere, 1-888, that's 4 8s, wasn't it? 1-888-590-VOCM or 8626. So this is now the calm down, I guess you could say, after the storm. Still a good clip of winds out there, and as you just heard Sarah Strickland in the newsroom talking about some light drizzle, which just adds to all the fun, of course, along with the winds. But the precip has abated mostly for now. There was talk of maybe another little blast maybe later this week on Thursday, but that doesn't seem like it'll be too much to worry about at this point now. Of course, morning schools, MUN, colleges, courts, government offices, some private businesses, on and on it goes, all with some delayed openings this morning. But it's all pretty fluid. So if you're depending on any of those services or others, of course, head on over to VOCM.com, but you might not see it there, or, you just want to make sure 100% yourself. Best to check before heading out. Call the place, or just make a double check before you head out, because it's still not the most ideal of situation to be out driving around and trying to get in and out, and just in case there's been a change to your plans. But of course, you can always head over to VOCM, as I mentioned. Close to 50 centimeters on average, I think, would be fair to say, around the area. You get some of the higher elevations, Mount Pearl and that sort of thing. But as far as this neck of the woods, pretty much right on what they were calling for. And a feature, of course, of this particular storm was this temporary lull yesterday afternoon, which gave some, including myself, a chance to clear away what had already fallen at that point. And then, of course, the mix that fell last night and overnight. Not too much of it, but it just left this real hard, crusty coating to deal with this morning. So if you left it all for today, you might want to call ahead and say you might be a little later than expected. I heard the Mayor, Danny Breen, for St. John's on your VOCM mornings this morning with Jerry Lynn Mackey and Russell Bowers, noting that one fortunate aspect was the fact that there really wasn't a whole lot already on the ground. I mean, the crews are out there and they're at it, but it's just an advantage that there wasn't already something to put on top of more of it. So let's hope. I mean, we have heard lots of rumblings about another couple of good systems coming through our way in the next week or two, but as I mentioned, that Thursday one looks like it won't be all that much, so hopefully we'll have some time to clean this one up. I know I live downtown in St. John's, so it's, we're waiting for that message. If you get on the automatic email and texting system with the city, you get a daily update on which streets are being done overnight, and you have to get your cars off the road, of course, so they can clear it out. And I've got two hefty snowbanks on either side of where I park my vehicle in front of my house. And so I'm just waiting anxiously and with bated breath for the boys to come through overnight. It's a bit of a pain trying to find a parking space to put your vehicle overnight to get it off the street, but it's worth it because right now I don't have anywhere else to put it. We got a little space between our houses, my house and my neighbor. But of course, you got to keep an eye out for the vents and your dryer vent, and just little things like that. Dig it out, have a look, make sure it's. I shouldn't say a little thing. That could be pretty disastrous. If all that builds up back in, and the hot air's got nowhere to go, and hot gets hotter, and it's not unusual to see house fires start with backed up vent for dryers and that sort of thing. So be wary of that one this morning. Good little check just to make sure, have a little knock outside the door before you take off for the day, and just make sure it's open, because it doesn't seem to be a lot more snow coming today, so you should be good by the end of the day. Also saw some, I was going to say that, that's just here in the metro area, but we all know there were winds and snow and coastal flooding even were an issue elsewhere. Saw some waves lapping up over the wharf at Harbour Breton and other areas. So the levels were up, that's for sure. And of course, we're continuing to keep a close eye on the situation in Badger. And any news there, we'll bring it to you right away. Also saw some stats yesterday showing all parts of the province really well above regular snowfall numbers for this time of year. Past years already well over that, almost 300 centimeters so far on the ground in the west coast, which again, as I mentioned, I'm sure is Not a whole lot of bawling and crying going on about that because, boy, that's the bread and butter. Out there for tourism related and just, overall get out and enjoy it. Let's see. Where else will I go? And but of course, this is open line. If you have any of your own storm-related experiences, I'm just kind of touching the surface, brushing the surface, if you will. If you have any experiences related to last couple of days and your travels and how it was getting around and any issues that you might have that you think our listening audience may want to know about or need to know about, that's what we're here for. And by all accounts, the power grid held up well, save for a few pockets here and there. A couple hours last night in around the city, but the winds were howling and it was cold, and it would have been a crappy time to lose power for a long time, and it didn't happen for most of us, so that's a welcome relief. And it's a challenging situation when a snowplow goes off the road or highway, which happened early this morning. Seems to have run into a soft spot there, likely poor visibility. Got stuck there in the medium around Foxtrap. That was quite a few hours ago, so a couple hours ago at least. So I don't have a direct update, but I'm sure I'm sure that's been taken care of or looked after by now. Of course, it's also out by the depot there. So a bit of sports, I suppose, before we get into it this morning. Seems a little overdue, but they're finally going to erect a statue to Joe Carter outside the Rogers Centre in Toronto to celebrate the Big Jays World Series win in 93. I was up in 92. I wasn't there for the 93 one. Where were you in 93 when Joe touched them all, as they say? I was at the Sports Dugout. Pat Trask had a bar downtown called the Sports Dugout, and we all watched it there, and the roof, I'm pretty sure, came off the place that night. So where were you when? I'll never forget it. So that's the right move, of course, albeit a little overdue. 33 years later. Question is, in my mind, as soon as I saw that, was how long will it take for one to be erected in honor of Kawhi Leonard? In honor of the Raptors championship in 2019. Maybe one of him squatting to watch as the ball bounces on the rim 4 times before going down and eliminating Joel Embiid and the 76ers. That was a moment. Again, most people will remember always where they were. And then, of course, they went on to beat the mighty Golden State Warriors in their own barn on the West Coast. So that was monumentous and no less, arguably more incredible, given that it was the first world championship for the Raptors after many years in the league. And on local front, Karen Sheriffs, of course, the chef de mission has been chosen after being chef de mission for the Canada Games, Summer Games last year. Going to be the chef de mission for the Team NL for the 2027 Canada Games. And she'll be working alongside assistants Alison Sturge and Jamie Randall. The whole team, I guess, is going to be announced in the next couple of weeks. So, they act as the liaison, with the chef team, the host society, performing all the different roles. And those 2027 Canada Winter Games are going to be in Quebec in a year from now. Let's see, February 27th to March 14th, right, Quebec City. And the Olympics, of course, as I mentioned yesterday, the actual events will begin tomorrow. Opening ceremonies on Friday, of course. 4.5 hour time difference, so it's not all that bad. And as a matter of fact, where they're 4.5 hours ahead, it'll be an interesting personal schedule shift to be able to catch some of the sports that you may or may not want to tune into. It's really spread out, too. The events are spread out throughout northern Italy, Milano Cortina. And as I said, start tomorrow. Women's hockey, I think, on Thursday this week. And the men's hockey kicks off on the 11th. And let's see. So the VOCM question of the day has to do with the GST credit. And I don't know how many people are, availing of it, get it. Mostly everybody, as long as you don't owe a lot of taxes, because a lot of that would likely be clawed back and go right into paying off that bill before you get a check in the mail. But the proposed or increased Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, which was just that new title was coined last week, formerly the GST credit. So let's see, that would be CGEB. So it's the new CGEB, I guess, because that's an acronym that government types love to use. So the formerly GST credit, that's going to go 25%, an increase of 25% for 5 years, and that starts in July of this year, 2026. So it'll be bumped up 25%. That'll be for 5 years, and there's also a one-time top-up payment equal to 50% of what you get of the 2025-26 value that has been proposed. So the one-time payment, that'd be paid in the spring. They say no later than June of 2026. So if you have any opinions on that and you think it's still necessary, I mean, the GST, some people worried it would just go away, but nope. Let's see. Good morning to James Cadigan, former RNC Communications media officer with the RNC, of course, who we all know and love around these parts, would often be on the VOCM mornings, giving us the updates. Has moved into the government realm, of course. He's now working with the Wacom government. Has changed positions. It seems like a lot of people are doing that these days. Statement from the government. We are pleased to have James join the team in the Premier's office as the Director of Policy and Stakeholder Relations. His experience and expertise will undoubtedly support our government in moving forward on our key priorities. And, you know, a great relationship with James here, personally and professionally. Gave him a shout yesterday, asked him if he'd like to come on the show. He said, I have to go through government, which, of course, you have to. They never did answer my question as to whether he'd come on the show. They just sent a statement, blanket statement. Ignored the question, so I guess that's a no. I guess he's not coming on, but it'd be great to have a chat with James just about the dynamic of going from that position to this position. Let's see. And what else is in the news today? I'm not going to drone on forever, especially while we have callers, but I did want to just mention this whole issue with the Kenmount crossing cancellation of the hospital that was going to go there. I saw the Transportation Minister and Infrastructure Minister, Barry Pettin, talking yesterday, explaining, you know, that compared to their numbers, say about $10 billion, that whole complex would have cost out on Kenmount Crossing, saying they can't afford that. And saying that St. Clair's is certainly perfectly, not perfectly, but those weren't his words, but certainly renovatable. Put it that way. There's a new word I just made up. Just like Tom Rideout back in the day, back-upable. He's allowed to make up words. I'm going to make up a couple too. So apparently St. Clair's, they've had some structural assessments by engineers. They say it certainly can be renovated and to the tune of several hundred million as opposed to 10 billion. So your opinions, more than welcome on that. Let's see, they say it's structurally renovated, and they can even go up, make it taller, and parking garage areas there and all that sort of thing. So they're making the case that, really, that it was above and beyond our means to think $10 billion out on Kenmount Crossing. So it looks like St. Clair's is in for a little cleanup and maybe go even a little higher, but it's not going anywhere in the short time, in the not too distant near future. And let's see, what else did I want to mention? There's so much going on. The news cycle these days, people, you know, as I mentioned yesterday, and I'll just try to remind everyone, as a journalist jumping into this job on Open Line, there's so much opportunity for opinionation and opinions and all that sort of thing on my part. But I come from a 100% objectives area. Let's see, questioning, I guess you want to put it that way. Approach every story that way. So it's interesting. It's a change in your mind of how you want to approach some of these stories. But I'll just mention, I can't help but mention this. You know, we saw that, and this is Trump alert for all of you. There's 100 things going on down there, you know, distract from the bigger stories, you know, the idea of politicians coming up with something else to try to distract from the shiny object. So Trump's reaction to the Grammys, of course, going to sue the host now, Trevor Noah, so he says, over an Epstein joke he made, you know, and now he's got his officials and FBI going in to look again at the 2020 ballots and the election, still insisting it was stolen. And yesterday, which really caught my attention more than any of this, was the trade deal that the U.S. just announced and sang from the rooftops with India. Oh, so okay. It's fine for the U.S. to go ahead and strike deals with other countries around the world in order to increase the value of their economy and to keep things flowing. But if Canada goes and makes some kind of side deal with China, that has nothing to do with CUSMA, by the way, as that continues to be renegotiated. So it's okay for the U.S., but we can't go and try to get a little seafood break or canola oil break from China. Okay. Seems like, I mean, a double standard with the current president of the United States shouldn't come as any big surprise to any of us. But there it is, and it really feels just lucky, you know, back in this neck of the woods to this point, and I'll just say luck, that the Baltic 3, sitting over there and getting hammered day in, day out, in the depths of this winter right now that we're in the middle of, just feels like a matter of time. You know, it really does. And I mentioned the other day, I don't know how much is still on board. I know that there's been stuff washing up again. The Coast Guard says it's all pretty normal. But we do know that parts of it have been, sections of the ship have been looking pretty tattery and iffy. And it could be just one big wave. And one last thing just before we get to the break. I did a lot of talk on the morning show about this, about the elimination or the end of frozen concentrate orange juice. Now, that's all I'm going to say. If you know, we all grew up with it. I remember cutting off the top of the old frozen orange juice concentrate and when I was a kid and pouring it up. But I saw some on the shelves in the freezer, I think 2 days ago. 2 days, definitely wasn't yesterday. 2 days ago. Still a healthy supply in one Sobeys that I was at. But again, smaller story, but you never know. As we often know, not just on this show, but in news, you never know what's going to pique people's interest. I don't know how many people remember this, but more than a few years, about 20 years ago, when I was working for another organization, namely the Telegram, I remember this psychic from Nova Scotia, and I don't know how many people remember this, but the psychic from Nova Scotia made this kind of, her predictions weren't unusual. It wasn't unusual that she made these, but she made one in particular that said a tidal wave was going to hit Signal Hill and flood St. John's. And as ridiculous as it sounded, because follow-up stories seemed to suggest that she'd never been here, so she really hadn't seen the height of Signal Hill, even though, you know, you can look up the dimensions anywhere at all. But at the time, that was all I remember is we put it as a throwaway little story at the bottom of page one, and it got more reaction than anything else that was in the news that week. As you know, as unlikely as it seemed, especially to us, just the fact that someone from away had made such a prediction, and that we should all hunker down like yesterday. And beware, because the city of St. John's was going to be flooded out. It's just one example of a story that just took off when you never really knew. And, you know, even the most experienced journalists or people in this business, it's really hard to tell sometimes what's going to grab people's attention. So there's a few to chew on this morning or drink up if you're into the frozen concentrate OJ. Lots of K. Let's see. Dave, how are we doing on the call? Yep, got a couple there already, so let's get out of this. Shut me up, as a lot of people seem to suggest they want done, and take that first break and come back and with our first callers of the day. Welcome back to the show. A couple of important notes to get out there first before we go to our callers. First of all, the Foxtrap Access Road, of course, first of all, we're told is closed right now, but also we're hearing, and I know I mentioned this off the top, that there was a plow stuck in the medium, or at least around the Foxtrap area on the Trans-Canada. We're told now that plow is still off the road. It's still on the road, I should say, or off, half on, half off. The road is blocked. They're trying to work with it and remove it and get it out of the way so traffic can flow. Police are in the eastbound lane, and the traffic is backing up in that area. So all around the Foxtrap area and the access road, looks to be an iffy trip right now. So if you have to get passed through somehow, well, you know the other options. You could head down the Southern Shore, out the old CBS highway. But for now, try to avoid that area if you can. A plow that was doing the highway out there looks to be still stuck. Trying to get it free. Police are in the area, and the traffic's backing up. So that's a mess out there. And also a couple of calls about the Unity Health Hub up off Stavanger Drive, that apparently there's no power there right now. We're trying to get some official word on what's going on, whether or not it's the area, whether or not it's just the health hub, whether it affects the actual ambulatory hub in the old Costco building as well, or whether it's a general power outage in that area. Not entirely sure, just got that note, but that's what Open Line is for. If you have any information on that even, why not give us a shout? Anyway, let's get right to the callers as soon as I get set up here, and after yesterday was blast. And yeah, let's go to line number one. And Lacey Coffin, you're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Very tired, but great.
Very tired and great. Well, you'll never go hungry. I mean, not hungry with good food. So, of course, let's remind everybody, this is Chef Lacey Coffin from Port aux Basques. Of course, you were in the Canadian Culinary Championships in Ottawa. Was that last week, correct?
This was the weekend past.
The weekend past, right. And, of course, you'd won gold at Canada's Kitchen Party in St. John's before and went on to represent Newfoundland and Labrador. What can I say? Congratulations. There's a lot of kudos coming for you from Port of Ask. I do want to mention one thing. I hear you were a pretty good goalie back in the day, and, you know, I won't say we got that in common.
Yes.
Tell us all about it, Lacey. What was the experience like? Not necessarily in the... Well, yeah, sure. Going from the crease to the kitchen.
I mean, it's been a whirlwind of years of coming to this point. A lot of hard work and dedication, honing into my craft. But this past weekend was... I'm hoping it wasn't a once in a lifetime. I'm hoping we can do it again. But it was definitely a lifetime experience of a culinary triathlon of 3 intense competitions. We competed against 9 other of the top chefs in Canada, right across Canada, from BC right to Newfoundland. And I feel like we certainly represented Newfoundland very well. And there wasn't anybody asking where we were from, that was for sure. We made them know well that we were from Newfoundland, Canada, and everybody was so proud of us.
I saw a note that your partner and you, and Nicole, I think it was. Was Nicole with you for this?
Yes.
And, sorry, what was Nicole's last name? I didn't get that.
Nicole Pittman, and she came as my sous chef. She's also a line cook at the View Resto Bar here in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, should have right off the top the View Resto Bar as well, which is where you continually, daily hone your craft. So what's your go-to?
I'm all about the seafood, which is quite funny because I didn't do any seafood for this competition. Had we been closer to the Rock, I probably would have. Also, if the wine there was a wine competition part, but we were on a budget. We had to feed 300 people with 340 people, with $700. So that's about $2 a plate. So we had to do that on they wanted us to do Michelin star plates on a diner budget. So we actually managed to come in well under budget to do it as well.
Yes, just explain that concept. So people are saying you had to pay. How exactly did it, just if you could just boil it down to how exactly the competition worked. You actually have a budget, you got to do it for that amount, and you only have certain, as you said, you got to make selective choices whether or not seafood would work and how you get that and the cost of it, all of that. So it's basically a budgeting process as well, hey?
Yes, Friday was the mystery wine competition. Thursday night we received a bottle of wine with no label. We had to taste it and try to find out what the notes were, and so that we could pair a dish with that. But with the bottle of wine, they gave us $700, and we had to go out. We weren't allowed to contact any suppliers until 6 o'clock on Friday morning. I mean, we're not from Ottawa, obviously, so that was a bit of a challenge in itself. But our shining personalities, actually, we were one of 3 people that they followed around Ottawa to film while we were shopping.
And so when can we see all this?
I think there will be a YouTube link, but I know for sure that the YouTube has the Black Box Challenge, which was on Saturday morning, and that was where we had 1 hour to create 2 dishes, and we had to do 12 plates of each. And it was a pressure cooker. It was definitely a pressure cooker of a situation. You know, you kind of go in and put your head down and try to put out the best plates that you possibly could within that time span. And our biggest fear going to Ottawa was that competition itself, was the black box competition, and just not knowing if we were going to be able to make time to put up that many plates. And to be honest, it was like when we walked in, we were just cooking in a bubble. I didn't really hear anybody around me. We just put our head down, and we managed to put out the plates in that length of time.
2 seconds to spare.
2 seconds to spare, and from what we hear, there was a lot of people yelling at the TV screen, telling us to get the biscuits in the oven and other things as well. But what people didn't see was, as we were plating, it doesn't matter how fast you finish. They don't take your plates until your time is up. So we're all about hot plates, hot food. So we had to wait till the very last second to actually plate our food, so that when the judges received our dish, it was an actually hot meal.
So I noticed, the post said, unfortunately, you didn't take the gold. But how did you do, and what did you cook?
We don't know exactly what position that we would be in. They just let know who got first, second, and third.
I gotcha.
I mean, if we're talking about a feeling and if we're talking about a vibe from around the room, I mean, I feel like we were winners for sure in the People's Choice. There was a lot of people in Ottawa rooting for Newfoundland and a lot of people that made time after the results were in to pull us aside and just let us know how fantastic we made the weekend for them. And a lot of the other chefs said too, like, we were a beacon of light, and they wanted to come to St. John's, Newfoundland to try our restaurant or even collaborate with us and join us, which I think would be super cool for the St. John's food scene if, we had, chefs coming from, Winnipeg and Saskatoon to just, try the Newfoundland cuisine.
That is awesome. The residual benefits of that, right? Because it's not just your own exposure, but as you said, expose, remind people that it's not you guys. It's amazing, culinary delights to be had in this province, to say the least. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to make everybody ridiculously hungry right now. Just try to describe one of your go-to plates.
One of my go-to plates, or one of the plates from the competition? Pick
one. What if I'm going to Resto Bar, or even what you thought might might really turn the heads at the up in Ottawa?
I feel like our mystery wine dish was a really good dish. We did a spiced pulled pork, and we did it with a sweet green pea puree. We had a carrot and orange ginger vinaigrette as well, and we also got some local shoots in Ottawa, pickled radish and citrus Thai basil sugar. But the radish, or the shoots we got, was also a nice red radish shoot, so we got to utilize some of the local greeneries and stuff here. We had a lot of people coming back, not for second plates, but also third and fourth plates, actually, that evening, which was fun because they're only allowed to have one plate, but me, being from Newfoundland, just sneaking them another little taste from the side of the table. But the guests there don't vote. It was a blind tasting with 12 culinary judges. But like I said, I feel if we had to go off the guests' vibe around the room, I feel like we were definitely winners for sure.
Definitely won the congeniality.
Yeah, Mrs. Congeniality here for sure.
Yeah, and I just want to note, of course, there's no question. I can hear the whispering and the assistance going on in the background. Is that Nicole there with you?
Yes, it is.
Just so you know, yeah, we can hear you. Way to go, boys. Lacey and Nicole, thanks for making some time for us. That's fantastic. The exposure is, priceless, needless to say. And maybe it was a good thing you didn't go with seafood, We don't want to be predictable. He was saying, okay, it's from the East Coast.
Sure.
So good on you. Congratulations. The exposure is probably going to be worth just as much as anything of getting any kind of, as you said, right? There's no real, after the first place thing, there's you could have landed anywhere, and you're probably right there as well. With the vibe and all the rest of it, you can definitely feel that sort of thing when you're in a room and you know how they feel about you, eh?
Oh, it was one of the best things that I've ever done in my life.
Awesome.
And I'm so proud of us of what we accomplished here this weekend. And I'd just like to thank everybody from Newfoundland from the bottom of our hearts. The outpour of people was unreal during the black box. Everybody blew up the live feed. Like 75% of people were Team Newfoundland on that live feed, which was that was very overwhelming for sure for us. Yeah,
we certainly have no problem getting our own support for our own when there's someone up along doing that kind of stuff. Thanks again thanks again for making time. Congratulations. You going back on the rink anytime soon?
Haven't been in the
Strap
rink
on
in
the
a
pads.
while. A bit more heavier on the feet these days, but we'll see what happens.
Very good. That's close to my heart. Lacey Coffin and Nicole. Sorry, what was Nicole's last name? I don't have Nicole's last name here. Pittman. Jeez, that's not a hard one. Nicole and Lacey, thanks a lot, guys. Congratulations, and see you at the View sometime soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Alrighty, Dave, let's see, a couple of minutes past that break. Let's take the break. Come back with Rudy after the break. Welcome back to the program. Let's just go right ahead to line number 2. And Rudy Singleton, you're on the air.
Good day, Brian, and how are you today?
I'm still still knocking the cobwebs off after yesterday's just bizarro day. It was kind of a weird day for me in a lot of different ways, but
It was different for sure, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just, the things that it's one thing to move around your schedule and all the rest of it, but, storms just can throw everything up in the air, and now you're trying to reschedule a lot of stuff. But no, I'm better now, and that's probably a bigger answer than you were looking for.
Oh, great. I'm calling, Brian, simply Emmaus House Food Bank. We're normally open every day from 12 until 2.
Yes.
And most of our patrons know where we're located. But in the interest of safety today, we are not opening for 2 reasons. It will be difficult for our volunteers to get there, and equally difficult, or if not more difficult, for our patrons to get there. So for that reason, we're not opening today.
Yeah, and I traverse right by there. A Mouse House just about every day on my way downtown to court or wherever I'm going on assignment. And of course, that's my old school. So we know, for people who don't know, you're located right next to that little tunnel at
right.
St. Bonaventure's College.
Yeah.
I noticed too recently. I used to take that walk all the time, and now there's a big fence put up, so you can't go through that little tunnel anymore, which I did every day as a kid, whether it was going back behind the St. Bon's Forum or coming out the other way. And now I use it a lot. But can you just explain why that was necessary?
And that's really a decision that was made by the Cathedral Basilica Foundation,
right.
and really we didn't we didn't have any input or any say or influence in that gate. And when I say influence, I'm not saying that it was negative to our operation, but it was put there for a reason, I'm assured, and the Cathedral Basilica Foundation would be the people who would be able to answer that accurately,
Sure.
and I wouldn't dare speculate.
Sure. And just because it's attached basically to the Basilica and St. John the Baptist and that area, that's not the only organization, of course, that runs your organization. You got the Anglican Cathedral, of course, of St. John, the St. Michael's and All Angels, St. Thomas Anglican Parish. Everybody is it's a sort of a cooperative, isn't it, for the needy?
It is Cathedral, Anglican, and Roman Catholic parishes. But as you know, Brian, with the consolidation of churches, both in the Anglican and Roman Catholic diocese, we are now down to 3, given that St. Patrick's was amalgamated with the Basilica, and that St. Michael's was amalgamated with the Anglican Cathedral. And so we're operating with three churches.
Right. So today, the usual time, not open. What might happen? Is there any way to, I'm sure you have some regular people there who are in need, as all areas do these days, those kind of shelters and food banks and that sort of thing. Is there any alternative for people who would normally come to you?
Not that I'm aware of, Brian. And when we make decisions like that, they're not made lightly, because we're acutely aware of the growing and more complex needs that are being presented every day.
And on that note, how have you seen it grown, Rudy, in recent, I'd say, days, weeks, months, years?
I wouldn't say it's exponential. That would be an overstatement. But certainly the numbers are increasing, not drastically, but we see an increase just about every month. And Brian, another thing with an increase in people from different societies, different religious orientations, and so on, we have a lot of dietary restrictions that we try to honor as well.
Yeah, and of course this is all volunteer. Board of Volunteers runs the. And if you could do two things before we let you go, Rudy. One is pronounce it properly for me. Emmaus. Great. And my newsroom will love that, and every journalist out there who has it in a news story.
Okay.
Because you just want to say a mouse, because of the AUS. So it's Emmaus.
Yeah, Emmaus, exactly. Yeah.
And what was Emmaus? Who was Emmaus?
Well, Emmaus actually is a place. Very good question, Brian. After the resurrection, the apostles, of course, were wondering what was going on. And on the road to Emmaus, 2 disciples met the risen Jesus, and they recognized him at the breaking of bread in Emmaus, which is now an Israeli and Egyptian village right on their borders. So that was Emmaus was actually a place.
Very appropriate for the place of the breaking of the bread. Absolutely, when it comes to the food theme of your organization, your volunteer organization. Rudy, appreciate the call today. Just one more time to remind people that it was right off the top, so in case people missed the first part of our conversation. Today, not open, and what's the plan again?
The plan will be to open tomorrow as usual. And Brian, I'd be terribly remiss if I didn't thank you as a host and VOCM, who are always most accommodating in helping us get out the message to our patrons. Well,
that's what we're here for. We really appreciate the shout out. Thanks a lot, Rudy, and good luck with everything.
And all the best. All the best to you, Brian.
Thank you.
All the best, man.
Same to you. Thanks again.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, Dave, right on to break. Look at that. I get kudos for that. Okay, let's take the break. We'll come right back with Mike, going to talk about some landlord issues right after the break. Welcome back to Open Line. Let's go to line number 3. And Mike, you're on the air.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. Thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing okay. Situation dependent as it is.
Yeah, under the circumstances. So what's up?
Basically, what's going on, I'm a disability patient. I guess you can still call me a medical marijuana patient as well, though I haven't had access to my medicine for about 4 years now. But essentially what's happened with me is living in this apartment in Portugal Cove now for 4 years. The property was just sold. And during the sale, I was told that I was going to be able to stay here. The new landlords even asked me personally if I wanted to stay. And on day one of them taking over, they decided to come down with my notice and tell me that I had to move out in 3 months. So I am now in a bit of a spot, needless to say.
So did they give you any solid, reasonable explanation for the change of heart?
Well, apparently it was their plan the entire time. They told me that they were going to be renting the property out to relatives. But as I say, they directly asked me and even contacted the previous owner's realtors telling them that they wanted me to continue renting here. So, and like I say, then first day right away, as soon as I had it, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So I assume I was pretty much used as a way to help ensure a mortgage would go through. But who knows? That's my assumption.
Yeah, a couple of things, of course, assumptions. We all know what happens when we assume, and not to make light of it.
Yes,
but also,
exactly.
I guess the key word for me that jumps out is the word told. You were told. Did you ever get anything in writing?
No, because it all went through within a matter of days. It was the first person to look at the house, and everything was completed within a matter of a few days, like I say. So I wasn't even included in the process outside of being told that I'd be able to stay here.
Well, I wish I had chapter and verse. I mean, I'm generally familiar with the Landlord and Tenancies Act. But there's also the Residential Tenancies Board, of course, which you could always, consult with this when you have a dispute. Have you reached out to them at all?
No, this only took place. I believe they gave me the notice the night before last.
Okay, I can give you a
toll. So I've barely had time to do anything really. This is just a kind of a shot in the dark thing to just make this call and see what can be done, or see if there's any way to get any help at all.
Yeah, well, the first step is there, of course. I can give you a toll-free number for them if you at least want to reach out and just try to at least go down that road, at least go down as many roads as you can, the way I look at it when something comes up like this. Like, how many different areas can I touch base with and maybe you'll get one or two of them back. But I can give you that number for for the starters, if you like.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yep,
anything would help, of course.
Yep, 877.
Oh, just give me 1 second.
Yep, no problem.
I'll tell you what. If you don't mind saying it later, I'll get the number. I don't have a pen or anything.
No problem at all. Yeah. And Dave's got your number there. So but I'll give it out anyway over the year. And for anyone else who you never know, I mean, it's not easy just to know what situation you're in. The number I have for Tenancies Board is 877-829-2608. And I throw that out there because obviously, there's so many people in situations like this, maybe not directly the same as yours, but certainly in issues with landlord tenants, it's ongoing. We know that.
Yes.
And, they get, I'm told, almost 30,000 inquiries a year. So it may take a little while to get. I don't know. I mean, I'm told you can speak to someone relatively soon, but having your individual case or file or situation either addressed or resolved quickly could be another issue. But again, at least it's another fire in, iron in the fire, that you could use. I don't know what else to tell you. Like the opportunities for landlords to evict. I'm just looking down through all the different circumstances, but I mean, everybody's circumstance is individual and special and unique to themselves. So you can't really apply one to the other. You really got to get all of your own information separated out and see if you can somehow have a pushback or a solution to this. Do you have any other options?
Yes.
I know it's been very soon.
I do have, luckily I am going to look at a place tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, I know straight away that I still won't have any access to be able to grow my medicine. I've been a medical marijuana patient with a grow license since 2001. So that's pretty much my only access to pain medication, as I have Marfan syndrome. Heart's partly made of stainless steel and elastic. I could go on and on for the next half hour if needed. But, so, to find something where I'd be able to have access to my medication would be the ideal scenario. But as I said before, as of 4 years ago, I mean, I haven't had any luck with that whatsoever. So,
and you've been renting.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you've been there in the same place since 2021, did you say?
Yes. I moved up here in 2021 after the apartment I was in briefly. The entire basement floor of the apartment building flooded. In fact, the father of a young mother phoned in the VOCM because of the hassle they have with that, and they mentioned a disability patient who was stuck in the driveway with no shoes or socks for 10 or 12 hours.
Geez, yeah, I do recall
I was
that.
no shoes or socks guys. I was the no shoes or socks guy. So it's been a fun ride, let's put it that way.
Is there any indication that your medicinal marijuana has anything to do with the eviction, to be perfectly blunt?
No, they don't even, the new owners don't even know I'm a medical marijuana patient.
Okay.
So I haven't been able to grow here or anything. Yeah. So they, like I said, I've only been able to speak to them twice. So.
And you haven't been able to grow. What have you been doing in the meantime?
Basically, it's been scraps. A friend of mine who's able to help once in a while. That's pretty much been it. Yeah. And as I say, I mean, I've had a license to grow since 2001. So I was pretty accustomed to having access to my medication, and it's been a painful run for 4 years now. With Marfan syndrome, basically it makes you fall apart from the inside out, connective tissue.
Yeah, so really some stable home would be really important for you. Again,
yes, very much.
That number that the board to settle these sorts of disputes might be your first step, but if there's nothing legally binding, it might be a tough situation. Again, I haven't had any time to really dig into. I will later for sure. Have a look through the and talk to a couple of friends in the business, of course. But it's a really unfortunate situation, Mike. And you said it's just happened. So at least it's early days. I would just get as many tentacles out there as possible, including the board and anyone that you know in business, and anyone, like you said, that you may be able to at least shore up some temporary housing until you can find something stable. Whether it's a friend or a relative or anything like that. Not something I'm sure you haven't already thought about.
Yes, of course. And that was pretty much the whole reason for making the call here today. It was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thought. Maybe it could help. So.
Yeah, it usually can. And, we have a massive listening audience, and I'm sure among them, probably people in the same boat or people who have great sympathy for what you're going through and may well be able to help, because God knows that's what Open Line can do for people. So let's hope if we get any calls or any kind of reaction to that, or any kind of people who reach out to try to lend a hand and help out, we'll be in touch. I know Dave has your number, and again, we'll get you that other number too. Actually, if you want, I can put you on hold, or we can, I'm going to put you on hold. Dave says go on hold, and we'll give you that number again when you got a time to grab a pen.
Yep, I've actually found one, so good to go.
Awesome. Oh, I can give it to you now if you want again.
Oh, sure, why not?
Sure, well, we got you. Let's see, 1-877
Okay.
829
829
2608.
2608. Thank you very much.
It's the Residential Tenancies Board, and they handle all these kinds of situations. So at least they can point you in the right direction, let you know if you should stay down that road or follow another. Take the fork.
Yes, well, it's greatly appreciated. Thank you,
Mike,
sir.
good luck with everything. Keep us updated and posted if you can.
Indeed. Thank you.
Okay, will do. Take care.
Bye.
All right, Dave, right on the news. Look at that. Kudos for me. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. Let's see. So a few still remnants of the storm yesterday and some other notes to pass along. First of all, the Foxtrap Access Road, we're told, is now open. Has reopened to traffic, so that's good news out that way, because in that general area, it's a bit of a mess right now. We know there's lots. It's a notorious spot, of course, always lots of drifting open space. And as well, let's see, and on that note, let's go to line number 3, and in the same neck of the woods, John, you're on the air.
I wasn't expecting to get on the air, but I'm here on eastbound traffic. And we're out here by Soldiers Farm. I don't know how far the traffic line is.
So which way are you headed?
I'm heading east.
Okay, so you're heading east back to the city. And how much of a backup would you say you're looking at there now?
Probably a mile or more.
So all you can see are taillights forever.
Well, that's it. Welcome to no plans.
Yeah. So what can you see? You're just waiting in traffic. This must be related, I imagine, to the snowplow went off the road there. We knew there were tow trucks in that area trying to get that off the highway. That's the only other information I have about a possible backup there. Can you see any of that action going on?
No, I can't.
So,
anyway, if anybody watches Highway Through Hell, maybe we got something here this morning.
Well, I'm sorry. Pardon?
We might make TV, yes.
You might make TV?
We're starting to move now, so I guess I'm going to have to cut off.
That's fine. Look, I always appreciate the call. Anyone else there has a chance and can safely do it, give us a shout. Thanks for that update, John. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Okay, hope you get to where you're going safely. All right, let's see. Let's, Dave, what are we doing when line 4 is gone? We'll go to, okay. Line number 2, Long Harbour Mayor. Walter Keating, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Mayor Keating. Not too bad. I think we have a theme going, which is not surprising this time of year.
Yeah, a big team. First, I want to pass my condolences on to these 3 young hockey players who left us so soon. So my condolence goes out to them and their families.
Yes, to say the least. I saw that in the news this morning, and amongst everything else I was trying to line up today, what a tragedy, those 3 young fellows. And, it just brings the Humboldt crash right back to me and to, I'm sure, others
right
as well.
Back in my mind.
Yeah, it's so tragic.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So tragic, honest to God, yes. Okay, I'll get back to, why I was calling this morning is our road from the Trans-Canada out Long Harbour Road. And as you know, we have Valley, which implies 902 people there.
Yeah.
Right at the site there. Plus, we have this road before now we had the snowstorm. I counted one time, Brian, coming out, 57 holes that I counted. I didn't count the little ones, but 57 holes, okay, before we had the snowfall. that they were putting sandbags in, which were about 2 feet long by 8 inches. I busted up 2 tires and a rim. And I had also calls from 28 other people before we had the snowfall who have damaged their tires. And like during the evening, like it's a safety issue too, on regards to this highway the way it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then as the winter come on now, we had every morning faithfully, I could say almost, right, 80% sure that the plow would go up at 6:20 in the morning and go up and come down. Yesterday, we never got the plow. They must have got mixed up in the AM and the PM, because we never got the plow until 6:20 at night. Right? So doing what the minister says, 24-hour service, like we got to look at that, because we got a plant that implies 902. We've got about 120 cars that go up through the communities, Long Harbor, Mount Darlington Heights. To me, that was a little disturbing, and, you know, an ambulance wouldn't get out there. We got an older community, and so I was a little bit concerned all day yesterday, but I just want to bring that to, especially to our MHA, Jeff Dewar, who we voted in again on the term. He hasn't returned calls, so I don't know what's going on with Jeff Dewar at MHA. I've got to give Mr. Pettin, the minister, at our council meeting we had, we wrote a letter to him, and then he responded back that the roads he's going to be looking at in 2026, which is good to know, because if you take Vale Inc., you take Voice B, the amount of tax dollars that are coming into the government from this company is well used in Newfoundland and Labrador, because we definitely need people like that to bring big taxes in, which we need so much. So other than that, I was really worried yesterday, like I said, being an older population and no way to get an ambulance in or out. So it was kind of sad yesterday, and especially for Jeff Dewar. He was not returning calls since he got elected. I was, wanted to chat with him again before he got elected. You call, he answered. This time he hasn't even returned a call, and I called him to congratulate him. I called him, about several things, but no answer back. So that's a little bit concerning too, for not only for myself and council, but for the people of Long Harbor and Mount Darlington Heights, which we still have to look after, and especially Valley, where they're a big community supporter, and that road is it's not good. So on that, Brian, that's where I was at this morning, really concerned for the community.
Yeah, and I can hear it in your voice, and it sounds completely justified. I wonder, as the road is probably, by the sounds of it, is not, you count 57. Just the time it took, and the trouble it must have went to just stop and count them all to make the point. And it's an important point.
Well, like I said, I watch people come out on the side of the road. I watch ladies pull over, and I stop and ask them if they're okay. They're waiting for a tow truck to come. And the holes, with the big trucks and everything going to valet, what happens is there's only one layer of pavement there, and that is disintegrated to like checker rocks. And to see these ladies in the middle of the night, like, broke down after hitting a hole, waiting for a tow truck, waiting to get, especially this time of year, it's terrible.
It sounds like it's not much better than when I used to traverse that road to come down to the meetings when they still had the Albright and Wilson phosphorus plant there.
Right.
Holy
mother! I worked there. It was a lot better then than it is now.
That was kind of exactly my point, Mayor Keating, because I can remember it was dodgeball or dodge pothole going on. It was brutal then, and it sounds like it hasn't done much. And you're right. I mean, look, the amount of money going over those roads, the amount of workers, the amount of goods, the back and forth, and as you said, these are massive. Valet and all the other companies that are down that way. If nothing else.
All the spin-offs.
Yeah.
And basically that's where I'm at. Like I said, it's a concern about everybody who drives the road. I worry. I mean, we're not the only ones. There's lots of people in Newfoundland and Labrador who have bad roads. But again, I'm voicing my opinion for Valet. I'm voicing my opinion for Long Harbor, Mount Darlington Heights. And like I said, when it comes spring, hopefully Barry Patton remembers that, where he was at and the letter he sent and the urgency of these 902 people plus the spin-offs from this plant, what the safety they're going through on that road.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to hear it, to be honest. And as far as Jeff Dwyer goes, the MHA for the area, of course, Conservative MHA, PC MHA, Jeff, we're all, I'm sure, you know, I mean, we know the ears of government are on Open Line daily,
Yeah.
and so he's heard the shout out. So if nothing else, we'd love to hear from Jeff if he has a minute to give us a shout, or someone in his office.
Well, like I said, before he got elected, I phoned, we talked, we communicated, we're on the page. And now that we're in, I talked to Tony Wakem when we were at the mayor's conference, and Tony Wakem said, Jeff's a good guy, you know. I said, okay, yeah, he's proven to me that he will return calls, he wants to communicate, and now all of a sudden we get into the House, he's reelected, and he doesn't return a call. To me, that's not good.
It's unusual. I mean, look, first and foremost, obviously, at least return your calls. That way this doesn't happen in public. It's not. It doesn't take anything to return a call, or at least as a courtesy, just to say, yes, I hear you, you're on the radar, but nothing at all is about, as, you know, look, I know Jeff personally as well. He's a great guy, sure. But one wonders what, if anything, it has to do with the fact that now they have government. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on it.
I don't know. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I know there's other people who want to get on and express their opinion. But thank you for your time, Brian. And thank you again. And like I said, my heart goes out to these people down that lost their sons.
Yeah, absolutely. I just to remind people, this was the Southern Alberta Mustangs. And the small town of
that's right.
They were, I think they collided with a semi-truck that was hauling gravel on. About an hour's drive south of Calgary. Horrible. Just really tragic. God. All of our thoughts, prayers, you name it, go out to them.
For sure. Yeah.
Great. Mayor Keating, thanks for the call.
Anyway,
keep us posted on that if you get even half of 57 potholes filled. You never know.
Even if I get a call, I'll keep you posted.
Let's start there. Absolutely.
Okay.
Great. All right. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Have a safe day.
You too. Thanks. Take care. All right, Dave, let's take that break. Right back with where are we going? Let's go right after that. We'll talk to Julie right after the break. Welcome back to the program. Just neglected to I meant to mention after the call there with Mayor Keating from Long Harbour, Arlington Heights. Any other mayors, of course, anyone, other municipalities having similar issues, it's important for us to know about that and give people a heads up. The streets and roads and areas around your community may not be right here in dead center in the middle of the metro, but it's all important for your drivers and your community and your residents and that sort of thing to know if there's any issues. And I'm sure there are a few others having some problems today with roads. You never know. Not seeking them out. These aren't leading questions, but if you're a mayor out there and you have a message to get out there, you know where to call. You know who to call. And one other good note from a listener, helpful and important safety note from a listener we received. Say they spotted a school bus that was traveling down Topsail Road and still caked with heavy snow and ice on the roof. Now, it's one thing for it to be on a small car and you stop at the light and it all comes down and you can't see a thing. Or it goes down the back of your vehicle and falls onto the car coming behind you and forces them to maneuver. But school bus, that's that times 10. So I know it's that is a feature of the snow and the aftermath of the storm yesterday, because I know I had to do it, scrape it, chisel it off the roof of my vehicle this morning before I left. But as Dave and I were just talking, you know, it's kind of a process. You need to chisel all that off and let it all fall before you shovel around it. Otherwise, you got another shovel job to do. Anyway, on that happy note, let's see, or a helpful note, I should say. Let's go, as promised, to line number 3. And Julie, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning. It's terrible about the snow. It's such a problem.
Yeah, every year, although not so much some years and more. We're really getting it this year, Julie, that's for sure.
We got it this time. I'm calling about a more local issue here now, Brian.
Sure.
I told you earlier this morning that I got a notice of conviction and fine, which, of course, I had a ticket in Churchill Square because I didn't know how to use the meter.
And Julie, you are not alone.
And there was no one there to show me.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Now, isn't that a funny thing? I don't know who decided. I guess City Hall decided that they were going to use those meters in Churchill Square. I don't know if they had any public input. However, they must be the worst type of meter that was invented for parking. However, they are very inexpensive, a quarter or 50 cents, depending which I've been charged with depending on how long you're going to be in the square. But I mean, the vendors must object to the fact that that the shoppers can't use the meters and can't park in their parking lot.
Julie, I've had people stop me and ask me how to use them and I'm not kidding. I am not going over the top here, on a regular basis. So I live about a 5-minute walk from Churchill Square, and I go there for some groceries every now and then, or to Shoppers, or to Terrace in the Square. My daughter gets her hair cut at the factory there. There's a Tim's there. I mean, I'm back and forth there all the time. And you're right, the only people...
You're walking.
Yes,
Brian.
And you know why I walk?
You're walking,
yep.
and so you don't have a problem parking.
Yeah, that was my point. That's exactly why I walk there. First of all, it's close, so I don't need to drive. But second of all, I would never do it. It drives me nuts. I'll be perfectly honest. You've struck a nerve here for me this morning because, and you're right.
Uh-oh.
In a good way, because, I mean, I can bring up all kinds of topics, but there's so many out there that this one is on my radar somewhere, but until you mention it, it's hard to bring it up just on my own. So I'm glad you brought it up. There's no one there, you're right, other than the people who are ticketing to help you. And I've watched them try to walk through the process with people who have never used them before. And you just see people standing there bewildered looking at now, I mean, there's a process. It's, you're talking your debit card. There's no more feeding the meter. It's all done online. It's all done mobile or, well, mostly on your phones, of course. But not everybody uses it that way, and Churchill Square is just one of those neighborhoods where it's never been that way, and it's a real sort of learning curve for a lot of people, and just a pain and frustration of not being able to do it like we used to and just park in Churchill Square. But the city has has to make up for lost parking revenue in different areas of the city when they take out meters and they have to replace them, to make up from revenue. And I know that this came before council a couple of years ago when they started putting it in, and the pushback was real at the time, and it continues to be real.
Yes, and I didn't get to the point of my conviction. It's $50. $50, and it used to be $15. $50 to park in Churchill Square for 10 minutes. What would Churchill say about that?
Yeah, named for him. Certainly wouldn't have been that back in his day.
I have until the February 23rd to come up with the money to apply. The payment would be applied first to provincial victim fine surcharge if imposed above. Now, as you can tell, I'm not very happy about this. I've further read that I have 60 days to apply if I have a good defense. Have you heard a good defense? It was pouring rain. There was nobody there. I tried to put my card in. It wouldn't take my card. There was no ticket man to help me out. So I got a ticket. I wanted to apply to court, to go to court. However, I thought that the courts were, I heard in the news that the courts were backlogged. I didn't expect to get a summons so quickly in the mail, so I lost my opportunity to go to court. Now, that's my fault, so I had to suffer the consequence. I have to wait 60 days, but do I have a good defense?
There's if I had a councillor here now or the mayor, they would certainly say that there are leeways. There is, what's the word I'm looking for? Exceptions to every rule, and there are cases that can be brought forward whereby, a blatant disregard of the meter is one thing. Individual circumstances like your own. I mean, my experience is it can't hurt to try, but they have these meters there, and I'm shocked at the $50 charge. How long did you say it was you were there?
I was there for 5 minutes. I had to run in and get a prescription. But, I mean, you could also have to go in. That's the thing about the Scotiabank there, the ATM. You go in and you use it for, however long. Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's not. But the meter man probably spends a good deal of time nearby the Scotiabank because he knows he's going to get a lot of people that are going to have... I hear I hear your ding there going, Brian. Does that mean we've been on too long?
No, not at all. I didn't hear a ding, actually. No, I'm all ears here, and I'm as frustrated as you are, to be perfectly honest with you, Julie. I know you're not alone, and I have friends and people who live in that area. It's a meter, and you have to feed the meter. Sorry.
I have one other point about the parking lot in the square. There is parking there that's available to, I don't know exactly who, the first come, first serve, I imagine. And I don't understand why those people can park for free, and the rest of us are struggling with those meters.
Yeah. Yeah, and the process is still.
So what's up with that? Who are those people? Why are they allotted those parking spaces, and the rest of us are suffering with the meters? Suffering by way of getting a conviction and fine, I mean.
Yeah, and you'll get a trial and you'll get an appearance notice by mail, and then that says to come to court depending on which option you've chosen, whether it's a trial or just an appearance notice. And of course, we know that the courts right now, for parking tickets, for civil cases and all that sort of thing, they've been shut down for some time, and the city has been open about losing ticket revenue or parking revenue because of that, and different, not being able to get these cases to the court. But I mean, the fact that you'd have to go to court with it, you can always challenge a ticket, and you can appeal it. The city itself doesn't have the ability to rescind a ticket. It is a court document, so you kind of got to go through the ropes, unfortunately.
It says that on the original ticket that you get. I don't know if you have seen one of these, if you've gotten one. You walk, so you probably haven't gotten one. But it goes on to say that the minister may refuse or issue you can't renew your permit or license until the fine or late payment penalty and surcharge are paid. Is there not people driving around with a ridiculous amount of unpaid parking tickets?
Many.
And I've got one here for $50 that I've got to pay by the end of February. Not even the end of February, the 23rd. I'm retired. Anyway, that's enough, Brian. I have some other issues, but we'll leave that for now.
Julie, it's frustrating as you know what. You can call the 311 number. You can appeal that ticket. I mean, you can if you want to go through the hoops. It's unfortunate. As I say, it becomes a court document the minute it's issued. So the city can't do it, but you can certainly appeal the ticket. The problem is right now, the way the courts are, that could even be a trial and error, no pun intended. I would certainly, though, have you actually made a call to the city about it and gotten any blanket response, or?
Well, I didn't. I haven't called the city. I called the city about snowplows. I didn't call about parking tickets. I was frustrated, so I called you.
Yep, that's what we're here for. Unfortunately, calling, it's not always great to call the city frustrated because, patience can be a virtue or it can be very thin. But I would urge you to just try the 311. And just to see where they're going with this. It's a good experiment. I may even try it later just to see what process, because with the situation in the courts, we talked a lot about how it affects the city and enforcement and their tickets and the revenue therein.
Well, you just reminded me of something I did call 311 about. There are a lot of street signs that are missing around town.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend coming, and I have a relative here, and a lot of streets have lost their street sign names, and it contributes to getting lost. And I called 311, and I spoke with a representative who was not very interested in my topic.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Suggested that, yes, very. I suggested that they may have a crew that could drive around and note what streets need signs. And she must have thought that was ridiculous, so she discounted my call, which is unfortunate because, it's very difficult when you get lost in neighborhoods that look the same. And I had a friend who was very upset. and that's why I called 311.
Julie, there are a couple of intersections in town here. They're very notable, but the sign is missing. I've noticed that myself, and sometimes it's just the very street that you needed to know if it still continues on or not. There's a couple, and I've lived here all my life, so I can only appreciate that frustration as well. I got to get to the break, but Julie, I appreciate the call, and I'm sure it'll garner more. Parking, period, let alone right now, this time of year. But also, the
exactly.
these mobile apps and the tickets, not everybody is savvy on their phone like that, and it's got it all set up, and, you just want a bit of simplicity here and there, but I get it. And
well, we may talk further about that.
Well, I look forward to it, and I actually look forward to some kind of an update. I would be interested. Hopefully, the representative, when you call 311, has a little more sympathy or a little bit more information.
I didn't need sympathy. I was just making a point that's handy to have a street name so you know where you're going. Apparently, the map that you get on your phone is not necessarily updated, so you can't even use that on your app on your phone. So it's something that the city should look at. We're having the Briar here in a few weeks. There's going to be a lot of people here, hopefully, and they'll need to know their way around town. Downtown.
Is there one in particular off the top of your head we can point out so maybe they can get right on it? What's like a particular street that you know of? Although without the name, maybe you can't tell me.
Oh, dear. I can't tell you one. I can tell you a couple. But anyway, we'll leave it for now. And hopefully 311 will be more helpful.
Well, Julie, let us know if it is, because, that's what it's there for. It's been helpful to me. For a number of different reasons. You just call and you just give, and when I said sympathy, I just kind of mean, it helps to have a friendly tone. That's all. So that you're not being dismissed or just given short shrift or, just to know that they care. And again, I've never had bad experiences with it, but I know my experience doesn't encapsulate everyone else's. So, but Julie, I do.
Well, I don't even know when City Hall meets. Can you tell me that?
Today. Today is a committee. I believe today is committee of the whole, so it's not the full regular public meeting. But I should double check. I stand to be corrected on that.
I'll let you go to your next caller.
Well, we're going to go to a break, but I appreciate your call, and it's an important issue. I know a lot of people are affected by that parking situation, especially over in Churchill Square, and they should get right on those street signs too. Julie, thank you for the call. Let me know if you have any success with all that.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Okay. All right, Dave, let's take that break. Coming back, who knows? We're looking to talk to you right after the break. Welcome back to the program. All right, let's go quickly to Ruby on line 1. You're on the air, Ruby.
Oh, good morning, Brian.
How are you?
Not too bad.
I understand you might be a little blocked in.
Oh, yeah. I've got some pile of snow in my driveway. I live on Torbay Road. And where I live on the corner, I get all the snow plow. I'm always getting all the snow.
Oh, geez, don't be talking.
Yeah, but anyway, I wouldn't call only for I've got an appointment with my daughter tomorrow with a specialist, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to get out through the snow there today.
Okay,
and
Ruby.
I can't do it. I'm 74 years old, and my husband used to do all the time. He used to love doing the snow, but he passed away, and I really got nobody. If there was anybody could come by, if they're up this way and push some other way, because usually the sidewalk plow comes down, and that usually helps too. But we haven't had no snow plow come down.
Yeah, it's still early days after yesterday's big one. Early hours, I guess. Ruby, let's find out where you are first. So you say the corner of Torbay and where?
No, Torbay Road. I'm on the corner of, right across from B&K Carpenter on Logie Bay Road.
Oh, Logie Bay. Okay, I thought you said Torbay.
Right on number 1 Torbay Road.
Oh, so you're right at the intersection. You're on the fork.
Yeah, you're in the corner where it has all the accidents on it.
You're not the house that always gets hit, are you?
I never got hit yet, but they're being up on my lawn. But
that's wild.
so far, got my fingers crossed. Better not go say nothing.
Yep, I shouldn't have even brought it up, but that's a brutal intersection. You know, you got the blind hill coming up the top and then coming down the other way. So you're right there, number one. I've got a couple of friends in the biz, and I'm sure one of them will be more than happy to help out. I'm going to give them a shout now when I get clear of you, at least one of them, and see what's going on. But you're putting it out on the open line, and there are probably will be someone at your house before I can even get to my contact. But it's number one. Is it number one Logie Bay, not number one Torbay?
No, number one Torbay Road.
Okay. By B&K. I know where you mean.
Yeah.
Is it still called B&K, or is it the Carpet Factory?
Carpet Factory.
Yeah, I think they changed the name, but I'm with you. I'm of that vintage. It was always B&K, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Ruby, you got to get out for that appointment. At least you got a few hours. You got today, which, there's no supposed to be any kind of accumulation. And who knows, maybe even the sidewalk plow will get down and give her a scrape before they get there to make it a little easier. But the call is put out there. Number one Torbay Road, just at that fork. I'm sure they'll find you, number one, on a GPS if that shows up and works for some and doesn't work for others. And let's see what we can get for you.
Like I said, it's really bad here, and like I said, if I had my daughter's sick, and if I had an emergency, they'd never get in there. I'd never get an ambulance, and if the fire started, I'd never get a fire bus or nothing.
Yeah, no, we all need that little help every now and then, right? Until it just...
And I don't ask nothing from nobody.
Yep.
But I had to do this morning. I hate to do it, but I got to get out to get my daughter to the doctor tomorrow for a specialist. I've been waiting a long while.
Got to do what you got to do, and this was the place to call, no question. So it's out there now, and I have no doubt somebody driving by now with a blade up could probably drop it on your driveway at 1 Torbay Road. That would be greatly appreciated. But keep us posted, Ruby, if that gets worked out for you. But if I don't hear anything back from anyone in the meantime or yourself, as soon as I can, now I'll give a buddy of mine there a shout and see if he can swing by.
Okay, Brian. Thank you very much.
And keep us posted. Now let us know that worked out for you, especially before tomorrow when you get out for that appointment.
Okay.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ruby. Okay, good luck. All right, Dave, right on the break, come back with, right after the break, come back with Ward 4 Councillor Tom Davis, right after the break. Welcome back to the show. Let's go right to line number 5 as promised, and Ward 4 Councillor Tom Davis, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
It's interesting times, Tom, to say the least.
Yeah, you can say that again. I can see why Patty pulled the parachute cord when he did.
Well, I don't want to speak for Patty, and there's, it's so funny, right? This is it's probably the most talked about private sector job on the face of the earth. How people can just, have their say on it, and about an individual and what they're doing and why they quit and where they're going. It's just an interesting dynamic, but that's all personal to Patty, and we wish him nothing but the best. We all know he'll land on his feet. In the meantime, this is a challenge to say the least. It's a 24/7 thing, so no getting around that. Tom, before we get going, so I told our previous caller that today is Committee of the Whole, correct?
Correct.
Right. And before we get going, can you just address, we just had the caller there from Julie, parking tickets and all that sort of thing, the pay by phone app. She says, $50 over there. She couldn't really, we know that there's a large seniors population in around Churchill Square, and a lot of them don't. A lot of people, I know my mother's never used a pay by phone app, and she's still driving. What options do people have right now, especially if they want to challenge a ticket and with the courts in the state that they're in?
Well, like you correctly pointed out, the courts are a bit of a mess. Now, that hopefully is going to get clued up. But for people who do challenge the ticket, there's probably a chance that it'll never see the light of day. But, that'll be on them. Getting back to the Churchill Square because that is my area,
yep.
Just to be clear. And I have inquired pretty strong. Julie is not the first person who's come. I would encourage anybody who has a challenge to reach out to me. 311 is usually excellent, but if you don't hear what you want to hear or you don't feel like your problem has been listened to, then call your counselor. That's why we get a paycheck. The other thing to bear in mind, too, is specifics are important. For example, with the street signs that you mentioned, if you will tell us which street, you know, we can address it. It's a really, really big city. You know, when everybody thinks about it, we snow clear 193 kilometers of sidewalks. Everybody think how little of the city actually is cleared. Like when you really step back and think of, you almost never see it. So you can imagine how many roads there are and how many street signs there are in the city. So we be specific, say, you know, the one on the corner of blank and blank, that sign is taken out, and we will get to it because it's important. It's, you know, health and safety. We found that with emergency response people, you would be amazed how people don't know the area. They don't know the streets anymore. They rely on, say, Google or something like that for it, but they can't confirm it. So street signs are important. So pass it along. So back to the parking. So first of all, the reason generally that you put in parking measures, it isn't about revenue, although a lot of people might be cynical and think it is. The main reason is supply and demand. In particular, when you have an area that's adjacent to, say, a university or colleges, where you'll have students who would take advantage of free parking. And then the other issue is when you have a lot of employees. So Churchill Square is an area that we're going through a review on for revitalization. But one of the things, we went to the businesses and surveyed them how many employees. So there's around 450 employees potentially could park at Churchill Square, which would eat up every parking place. So, you know, she asked about why there's free parking, and that's a compromise for employees. Of course, not all employees work early in the morning, so that only works for so many of them. So, you know, that's that. And getting around to how you pay, yes, the app is challenging, although I know COVID has moved a lot of people. My father in particular said he would never do online banking and stuff like that, but COVID and the mail strikes and stuff is moving people online. You know, once you get it set up, if you can get someone to help you set it up, like a family member or a friend, and she did mention that we do have a traffic person stationed there, and that person spends a lot of time helping people. So we encourage them to take advantage of that where possible. But the other options, there is a pay station there. So even if you don't want to download an app, or that's a little bit above your pay grade, you can go to the pay station, and you need your license plate, you need a credit card, and you need to know the zone that you're in, which you can pay attention to the signs that are there that identify the zone. So if you have those pieces of information, you can pay. Now, if for some reason the technology fails, which it sounds like with Julie, she tried to pay with her credit card and it didn't work, well, you know, that's an argument for being able to appeal it. And, you know, again, if it ever gets to a court because of the present situation, that's one thing. But if it does, I mean, I know that
there's some flexibility there, right?
There is. And again, once the ticket's issued, it is on the province's bailiwick. But, you know, I would encourage people to communicate and to continue to express their feelings, whether it's directly to one of us or on open line. It's great.
Yeah, so just her first step, though, you would suggest 311, because there is flexibility. Every case is different, and especially if you go through the trouble and you actually get before a judge. You know, I doubt he's throwing any seniors in jail or not renewing their ticket. I mean, it's a parking ticket, is what it is. It's not a criminal behavior. Yeah, so anyway, you call. Thanks for all that. I'll let you go on with whatever you may have called specifically about.
Sure, just a couple other city things. There is weather-related parking ban, so until we've changed it, there's no on-street parking allowed, so 24 hours a day, and that's to try and get this mess cleaned up. Unfortunately, this type of snow, it really packs down. You can see the rutting on the road. I can only imagine when I hear people calling from outside the city how bad it must be. So there's that. There's also I wanted to mention that the rutting, because I drove in down to City Hall, and the rutting is bad, and people need to be conscious of that. You need extra stopping time. That's ice, so that not only is it rutting, that it's rough and everything else, but that's also pure ice if you're on it. So, you know, encourage people to, you know, give extra space. The other thing is that garbage collection from Monday was moved to Tuesday, and Tuesdays is moved to Wednesday. So for people who are wondering about their garbage collection, if you've got it out, fortunately it's not windy now, but again, if you can pull them in as soon as you can, if you've got it out, and it's going to be tomorrow, because again, that inhibits the snow clearing as well. Yeah,
you took that last one right out of my mouth, because I wondered about it. Today would be my garbage day, and just before I went, I just checked real quickly. I didn't see anything until I got into work, so I didn't put it out. I'm glad I didn't. So yeah, just to be clear, yesterday's yesterday's garbage being collected today, today's garbage being collected tomorrow.
Correct. And then just taking off the city hat, I know last week I heard you, and this is kind of please don't, this is not an attack on you, but I know you mentioned that healthcare people, it's not their fault, that it's managers' fault. But I want to bring people's attention to two books, which I am reading one, and I've read the other one a couple of times. So the first book, which I'm reading now, is Bowling Alone by Robert Putnam. And the other book is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which I've read a bunch of times, and it's an incredible perspective from a psychologist who was a Jewish psychologist in Vienna, had an opportunity to leave his city during the Second World War as the Germans were doing their thing, but because his parents were there and he couldn't get them out, on his father's death, there was a plaque that said, "Honor thy mother and thy father," therefore he stayed. So he ended up going into the concentration camps with his family. He was the only one who survived. His parents, his wife were all lost. And he went in there as a psychologist and studied the behavior of humans under the most abject depravity, unimaginable starvation and brutality and inhumanity. And he observed what it took for people. He observed the people that survived. And the people who were really optimistic didn't survive. The people who were really pessimistic didn't survive. But those who put others first were the ones who survived. And he came back and he created, after he got out of it, he wrote this book, but he also created a branch of psychology. And he explains that. At the latter part of the most of the book is explaining this perspective. But the first, it's fairly easy to read too. But the first half of the book is laying out the experiences that he experienced and just displaying that depravity and what he and others went through. But then the other part of the book is him talking about how in his practice he helped people who were lost and who were depressed and who had lost significant others or who were at a low part in their life. And he counseled them to put others first, and that through that, the pursuit of that would lead to meaning in their life. And that leads me to the second book, which is Bowling Alone by Robert Putnam. And he is a Harvard graduate, but he's a professor, and he's still alive. He's 86 years old now. When he was a younger man doing research, he went to Italy and did a study when they went to regionalized governments and realized that the regions that succeeded had the highest civic engagement. And civic engagement can be manifested by knowing your neighbors, but it can also be involved in service organizations or sporting organizations or just having connections to other people. And the greater the engagement, the greater the success of the democracy, but also overall the success of the economy. And so this book is still relevant. He wrote the book, 26, 30 years ago, however long ago it was, but it's still relevant now, and he's still doing studies and still leading that conversation. But, we talked about people needing the driveway shoveled. He suggested that just going next door and getting the first name of your neighbors would lead to a more successful democracy, more successful economy, and overall happier population. Just that little step. So, whether it's joining a service organization, which when we look around the city, there's the names of the Rotaries and the Lions are all over our province, parks and buildings, and they did incredible things in the past. But I'm a member of the Rotary, and it's an organization that obviously is getting older and older. So I just encourage people to if they have time to read the book, but if they don't have time, and maybe they're a little lost, maybe they're looking for some meaning, perhaps go next door, meet your neighbor, or joining an organization, or volunteering, or just doing something to spread your wings a little bit. I just call on people to think about it.
No, listen, kindness, consideration for others, who knew, right? It's not rocket science, but some people just don't have it in them. I just got a new neighbor, and first thing I did was exactly what you said. And it's a funny thing, we don't, we're downtown or right on the street, so we don't have big front step porches, but my porch is right next to his, and I'll shovel his out, and he'll shovel mine out for when we're not around. It's just simple little things. It keeps a good frame of mind for each other, and it's real neighbors, right? It's a simple thing. You'd think it's complicated. It's not complicated at all, is it?
Well, it's getting back to the things when we grew up and our parents grew up, that was just the way of being. It was our culture. Yep. And somehow now the culture is on these electronic devices, which people need to understand are designed to take away our attention and ultimately lead us to be less happy when you really play it out. So I just encourage people to get outside and make a difference.
Yep.
Try and be a little bit, make a difference in someone's life today, and you'll I'll tell you what, there's nothing on your device or that you can buy through Skip the Dishes that'll make you feel as good as brightening up someone's day.
Yep, and it's arguably the individualisticness of your own phone and your own app arguably blocks you out from that other kind of cohesion with other people, with other human beings. Tom, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. A little late for the news. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, bye. All right, Dave, sorry about that. Off to the break. After the news.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
And welcome back to the program. Just a couple of housekeeping, well, not even housekeeping, I should say. That's another fine example of Open Line working its magic. We've got an anonymous offer for Julie. You may have heard Julie a few moments ago talking about the $50 parking ticket she got just because, you know, she was only there for a few minutes and wasn't able to act and use the app. And we've got an anonymous donor who wants to help you pay that, or wants to pay that $50 fine for you, Julie. So I hope you'll accept. We've got your number. We'll be in touch. I've got a number here for that person who wants to connect with you and pay your $50 fine. God love them. And that's what we're here for. And also still, I got a couple, I'm still waiting for a note back from a buddy of mine about Torbay Road. So never want anyone to assume that's taken care of either. The more options we have, the better. Was that Ruby? Yeah, Ruby at 1 Torbay Road, who needs a good cut, just a little cut on her driveway, right around the fork there by the carpet factory. Anyway, it's number 1 Torbay Road. So if you're driving by and you got a blade, give her a honk and give her a cut. And let's see, we were discussing parking tickets a few moments ago. Got another call here. Now, Marie on line 2, you're on the air.
Oh, hello. I wasn't planning to call in today. Don't usually call in about things. But I was prompted to call when I heard that lady on about her parking ticket at Churchill Square. And I sympathize with her because I know how she feels. I also got a parking ticket at Churchill Square, a $50 ticket for being in a store for $10, and I was so disgusted. It happened to me last year in, I believe it was May. And anyway, I went there not knowing, it's not somewhere I usually go. I don't live near there. I live at Mount Pearl. It's not somewhere I usually go. But I need to go there that day for something. And when I got out of the car, there was lots of parking spots, and I was sort of in the middle of the lot. And I looked around and I said, I don't think you got to park here. And I didn't see the signs or the pay station. And so I thought, okay, because I used to go there one time before, some years ago, and never had to pay to park. And so I came out. I was only in the store about 10 minutes, and I came out. And there was this parking attendant stood up behind my car. Now, as I was coming towards my car, I thought, what's he doing? Who's that? And I asked him, I said, excuse me, is there something wrong with my car? And he said, is that your car? I said, yes, it is. He said, well, I'm writing you out a parking ticket. Well, I was floored. I thought, what? A parking ticket? Where do you park? I don't see anywhere here to pay to park. And he showed me there was signs up on a pole, but they were like kind of small signs way up in the air. I didn't see them. And the parking station, I didn't see that. And so I said, so now he's there just starting to write out the ticket. So this is part of my beef as well, is with him, because I said, oh, well, show me where I have to park and how much I have to pay. And he said it was up there. And I said, how much would it be to pay? And he said $1 for, I think, a couple hours or something like that. I said, okay, well then how about I just go up now and pay? And they'll have to, pay. I said, I don't object to paying $1, but I don't want a parking ticket. I would have paid it if I had known, that there was a place there to pay. And no, he said, no, I'm writing out your ticket now. It's too late. And so, he wasn't very nice to me. I found him to be a bit rude, I got to say, because of the things that he said, and that. And he continued to write out, and I pleaded with him to not do it. I'd just rather pay the parking. Now I know if I have to pay up there, next time I come here, I'll go and do that. But he continued, and he wrote out the ticket and passed it to me. And I came home, and I sat down, and I thought, what am I going to do? I don't want to. He told me it was going to be $50. And so, okay, you could either sign to, like, you're guilty and send him money, or you want to object. And then there's nowhere else to write on the ticket. And so I wrote down, I ticked off that I want to object to it. I sat down and wrote a letter to the court about what happened and why I didn't think I should have to pay this parking ticket. And I said, like, I'm a senior citizen. I only live on pension. I work part-time to pay my bills and everything, you know. And I sent them off this letter, hoping that it was going to come back, say, okay, you know, forget it. No, they sent me back. I have to go to court. Which I'm not looking forward to, and when I thought, and I don't want to have to do that, and I was wondering how still can I get out of paying this parking ticket, and it's so anyway, that was like May month, and so when I saw the date June, I thought, okay, next month I'll get to go to court. Then I looked, no, it's June of 2026, so it's coming up June the 16th on 2026.
Well, Marie, listen, I feel your pain. There's a couple of things about this. First of all, the first thing the city might say, you know, strictly to the letter of the law would be it's parker beware, you know, like buyer beware, parker beware. And there are signs there. You have to look. But as you said, you're not there all the time. And there's no actual meter at each space like there used to be. So, you know, the visual, you know, cue doesn't jump right out at you. So there's that as well. And also when they start writing those tickets, look, I'm downtown a lot, and I avoid the confrontation. Boy, it's not a job that I would want. You know, especially when the driver or the person comes out while you're in the middle of writing the ticket. You know, the confrontations can be pretty nasty. I've seen it. So, you know, it's hard for the ticket writer, and it's also hard for the person who has been ticketed. And there's just an inevitability about the confrontation and the clash that occurs at that point because, you know, I mean, we're not in that world. So the administration of that ticket and the fine and, you know, at what point he can't cancel it, he's got to just carry through with it. Maybe he has supervised. You know, there's a regimen that he has to follow. I don't think they're out to be purposely mean. You know, it's just the nature of the job, and it's not a fun one to have because I've seen the confrontations. You're almost, if you're in that job, you're just praying that the driver doesn't come out while you're doing it, you know, or some of them maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care because it's just you're hardened up to it, and you just you be polite, but you just tell them this is the way it is, and here's the route you have to go. And you say June 2026, and you're in the same boat as Julie very much because. You know, you have options. You can challenge it, but the court system makes that even more difficult right now. So, again, as Tom Davis, the counselor, just mentioned a few minutes ago, you know, you at least probably want to start with the 311 because there is flexibility, but it is also true that once it gets past that, it's no longer in the city's hands; it's in the court's hands. And I'm surprised, really. You said you wrote a letter and you explained everything. The people who go through the trouble of that are exactly the type of people who usually find that flexibility. Because, you know, it's one thing that, you know, you see the people who just do it all the time. They know they're getting a ticket or they don't care. Others, you know, unbeknownst to them, you have a legitimate, you know, innocent, I'm not always here. And, you know, it's just an innocent mistake. If I'd known it was $50 for the ticket or $2 to pay for parking, of course I would have paid for parking.
Exactly. Well, that was my point. Like I said, I didn't see you know, the signs up saying that you had to park, and I looked around and I said, no, I don't see nowhere here to park. It had been like about 3 years since I had been to that parking lot, except sometimes, like I told the man, I had been there in the nighttime. And, well, I think you don't have to park there in the nighttime.
That's right.
Anyway,
and
all
weekends.
I know is I never got a parking ticket.
Yep.
And, so I didn't see it. I didn't see that pay station. And, you know, no, I thought he should have just ripped it up and said, okay, forget it. Just go pay your $1 and have it over with. And so, anyway, I wrote that big letter and explained my case, and it was just the same as if they never read it. I don't know. They might have just thrown that in the garbage without reading it. I don't know. But there's nothing said about it when they just sent me this notice of trial, go to court. And, like, it's in the morning at 9:45. When I work like 3 hours in the morning. So if I'm scheduled to work that day, I will have to miss 3 hours work to go. So that's my money gone there, plus probably still have to pay the $50 ticket. So I was wondering what other routes I could take now with this, and I was thinking that too. It's probably no good to go to the city because they say, well, it's in the court now, so it's out of our hands, you know.
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering where to turn.
It's a bit of a tangle there now. I'm not sure how. I had Tom there, but I mean, maybe someone with the legislative or legal side of the city can speak to it. I see the city solicitor. Well, I used to see him on a regular basis down in court doing the traffic matters, but again, those parts of the court right now are shut down. So it creates an extra tangle that you would think might be a little bit of a reason to give people a little bit of a, cut them some slack, under the circumstances, because it is not easy. And, I mean, it's a parking ticket. Going to court for a parking ticket. Yeah. It seems a little over the top, especially with what's going on now. And there are people who will say it's all a cash grab by the city. But look, when they eliminate spaces or parking in one area that's paid parking, they got to make up for it somewhere else. I know Tom said it's not necessarily a revenue issue, but I've seen the financial lines in the city, and when it comes up, and the money that's taken in, and it is an issue because I've seen it debated at council. Yeah. So, I feel for you. It's just like I do for Julie. I don't know if my anonymous donor has another 50 to hand out, but
well, I tell you the truth. I really wouldn't expect a stranger to come forward and pay it. But I would expect that the court or the city should say no. Erase that. You shouldn't have to pay. That's what I'd expect.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll tell you what. Who knows? Tom's been on today. It's been a good topic this morning. The city city councilors are meeting this afternoon in their committee of the whole meeting at 3:00, and you can actually, I don't know if you have access online or if it's easy to negotiate or navigate, but you can watch the council meeting in live stream on the city's website. You just got to follow the clicks. You just go to their council meetings and click on the date, and you'll see an option for live stream. So if if you have the time around 3:00 this afternoon, who knows, it may come up as a topic. If not, I'm sure it'll come up next week when there's a public meeting, because that's how they do it. Every second week it's a public meeting, and then in between they have the committee of the whole, where they it's the first intake for matters that are coming before council, and then they move them on to the next stage. But that's there today, and I guess the 311 doesn't hurt for a first start. You never know. You might luck into something, and they'll say, "Oh, that one's okay." But you never know. Yeah. I feel for you, Marie. Good. I'm sorry. If you can, keep us posted and let me know how it works out for you.
Okay, and thank you, Brian. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks again.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All righty. Thanks, Marie. Let's see. We're going to take that break. Dave, come right back with the Mayor of St. Vincent, St. Stephen's, Peters River, Mayor Verna Hayward, right after the break. Welcome back to the show. And just one quick follow-up on the parking issue. Just wanted to confirm, because not everybody knows, as we just found out, all the intricacies and the ins and outs of it. It is free on the weekends, evenings, holidays, and that sort of thing, parking no matter where, after 6 p.m. After 6 p.m. during a weekday, and evenings and weekends. There you go. Let's go right to line number 3. And Mayor of, that's a long title, Mayor. Verna Hayward's on the air.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for reaching out. First of all, I want to wish Paddy Daly all the best in his next chapter in life. Paddy was wonderful, and he was exceptional to us with his roots being from in this way. He never hesitated to let me speak as long as I wanted to speak. But anyway, I'm happy. I guess he's made the next step to move on, and he'll be missed, and I hope you find somebody good to step up in his shoes.
It's an interesting search. Who the right person will be, we don't know. We're leaving it up. It's all in management's hands. And I should have said St. Vincent, St. Stephen's, Peters River, Mayor, Verna Hayward, of course. Okay, that out of the way. What's on your mind?
Well, actually, your producer reached out to me about the breakwater. And I did find out from a councillor that we didn't incur any damage, but we did have the road was all covered with debris. And, like that beach, really the breakwater should have been replaced a long time ago. And every time we ever bring it up as a council, the government's response is that it's cheaper to replace the pavement. But not bearing in mind, the fact that lives can be lost. I mean, the danger on that beach is that it can be really stormy, and zero visibility. And then if the beach is covered in debris, not to mention the fact that the ocean can come in there at any time, and somebody could even be washed into the pond. And it did happen many, many years ago. A car did get washed into that pond. So we didn't, the road right now is fine, and the highways pushed away the debris. So we did have some debris because the ocean was savage. And I mean, if you look at the pictures in Trapassi, like, the lower coast, the road is just totaled. So, I mean, and the worst part is where there's zero sticks. So even though the sticks, I say they're like toothpicks, they do act as a breakwater. But there's a big section where there's nothing, and that's where the damage, that's where the ocean comes in. And I mean, Mother Nature is getting tougher and tougher and stronger and stronger. And that brings me to the next point. According to 911, everybody should have a civic number visible on their homes. And as a town, we're trying to encourage everybody to do that. So we have started to accept people to order a metal sign. It's just like a street sign. They're 12 by 18, and they are fluorescent. They shine up at night, and especially we have lots of fog here. And so I just placed an order for like 20, and now we're doing the second order. And I've posted this message in a lot of different groups. Like I posted in Southern Shore, Mount Carmel, St. Mary's Bay, because the life you save might be your own. And the ambulance drivers into this area now, and many areas, no longer are from a local area. They're local, but the business is not local anymore. It's Newfoundland. And we can have drivers coming from anywhere who do not know where you live. So it's very important that everybody get a civic number that's visible at night, and especially I find those fluorescent ones are the best. So if you live up a lane and you got a garbage box at the end of that road, it would be suffice to put it on that. It's what I plan to do, is put it on my garbage box, But so we are, there's a company in Paradise that's doing them for us at $35. So $35 could save a life. And anybody can reach out to me if they want to know where I'm getting them. And I also want to mention, back to the fact that I spoke with Patty a while ago, my town and many other towns have no communication when the power goes. And some residents are buying battery backup chargers. So there's one available at a business in St. John's. I don't know if I'm allowed to say words too, but right now it's on sale for $140. It's called Eliminator Battery Booster and Portable Power Box. And it has a proper plug where you can plug in, and it lasts 24 hours. So I'm not just saying that people in rural Newfoundland can benefit from this. People in the city can benefit from this. So, we need this in here. We've applied to the government for pager system for our fire department at a cost of $30,000. If they don't approve of that, we're probably going to have to resort to this, putting this in some people's homes, or try to fundraise to get this. So, I mean, nobody wants to go to bed and leave your generator going. I mean, well, we don't. And so, as a result, when we had that fire, the few that the fire team members that had generators had them shut off. And, Riverhead had pager systems, so they got the message. And, I mean, they responded very quickly, Brian, because 1:38 the call went in, and Riverhead Fire Department were coming up the Gasker Hill at 2:15. Yeah. They passed my door at 2:20. My husband heard the sirens and went in his truck. So, when they got to the scene, the house was total. But anyway, I mean, they had to protect the rest of the buildings and the trees around the home. And we've, that lady is doing well now, and we had a successful benefit for her on Sunday.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that. Yep.
Which is heartwarming for her. But I mean, at the end of the day, her life was spared, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and the most important thing is preparation, as you said, prepared and preparation. And Verna, only because I'm right over the time for the break, we will, again, I've got, I've made shout-outs for the Transportation Infrastructure Minister and even the MHA down that area, Loyola, to get an update on... Not Loyola, sorry, he's Fairland. Right. And to get an update on where that is. I think back in 2016, I think there was a replacement announced for that, was there not?
The town, we did 9010, and we did some breakwater where the homes are in 2017. So where the homes are located, like on, we call the flats, that's new breakwater. But the rest of the main road is just toothpicks. And when I say main road, I mean like St. Shots people commute through that. Sometimes Trepassey people and Portugal Cove South people are coming through that. So it's a main thoroughfare. And I mean, it's very important. And it should be replaced, in my opinion. And I don't think, we don't want anybody, like I said, that night, 2:30 my husband left, or 2:25. I gave it an hour, and I went down the road, but I was afraid to cross the beach because the ocean was coming in 9 o'clock that night. So I didn't know what it was like, even though I knew the fire trucks went through, but I didn't know. And I think that if there's certain winds and certain whatever, transportation and infrastructure should have their employees also on call, watching that, so they can be there, like with pylons, with lights and whatever. And Verna, sorry to interrupt, but the minister himself is coming on now in the next 10 minutes, and in order to make room for him, and I'm 2 minutes over to break, I better get going. Perfect. So, anyway, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate all the information. Stay close to the radio. Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. Okay, Dave, take that break, and we'll be right back.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And welcome back to the last half hour of the show today for Tuesday. Let's go right to line number 2, Placentia Mayor Jamie Neville. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Just as a heads up to Mayor Neville, we do have the Transportation and Infrastructure Minister, Barry Petton, who will be joining us right after your call. So fire away.
Okay, so I guess I'll have to be good then.
I'll leave that in your, as they say, the ballywick. Go for it.
That's right on. Anyway, well, speaking of Minister Petton, some of our council was in last Monday and met with him on the issue with the Placentia Wave Wall. And it was a very good meeting, actually, and he and his staff committed to doing some engineering, covering the cost of engineering work to get this process up and running of repair or replace the existing wall and further continue on with the wall over the rest of Placentia. Anyway, so I got a call this morning to call your show about the wall, and yes, yesterday was I actually got up and I drove over by the wall and I had my window down in my pickup, video on the wall to show, of course, when I got meetings to show people what's actually happening there. And the waves were actually hitting and coming over, and at one point I had to put my window up because it was coming in my truck.
Yeah, I like some salt on my fries too, but not that way.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, it was so funny. Actually, my lips were salty when I did leave that site yesterday.
Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time in Placentia, and I've been there for that spray, so there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is a pressing issue. It's an emergency issue that we have to deal with, and it's not just the town of Placentia or our council have to deal with it. It's a provincial and a federal level governments are going to have to work together to get a solution to this issue. Not just the wall failing is one thing, but of course the higher winds and the rising tides. I mean. The environmental issues are certainly a big concern for the Placentia area.
Yeah, and it's not getting any better, and it's becoming more consistent. And, I mean, how many breakwaters do we have now? I mean, that'll tell you right there. We got 4 or 5 that are on the top priority list right now. Well, I know of 3, but I've also had anecdotally a couple of others thrown my way, too. And, Jamie, there's a ton of things I'd love to ask you about, but was there anything else you wanted to get into today? Because I'm thinking about your neighbors to Argentia and all the changes going on, especially with the with the lack of movement now on certain types of industries, but the laydown still going on to the big old windmills. Has the economic outlook out your way changed anything in the last 3 or 4 months with changes on the business fronts?
Yeah, well, of course it has. I mean, I'm a businessman myself, and there's a lot of businesses in the area. With the downturn of the work in Argentia, yes, businesses are going to have a little hard time now, and especially in the wintertime getting through it. But hopefully the tourism season will pick up. But as for Argentia, look, it's a world-renowned port. It do need a new dock facility down there built, which hopefully will be done. And it's certainly something that both federal and provincial government should be pushing on our end. I noticed a lot of attention and a lot of money going into Churchill. This is for the Arctic. And we're in the same situation here. We're on the end of Canada, and we certainly are looking forward to the federal government is really pushing their country now, I guess, with the situation with the U.S., So Argentia hopefully will be a bright spot in our future.
How goes it? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just that I agree. There's a lot that we can discuss and talk about my area, and unfortunately, I do know you got the minister coming on, but they're throwing a couple of questions at me that require a lot more time and to speak on. But I can give you just little updates if you want, like that one there, for example.
Yeah, well, I was curious what's going on with between the Port of Argentia and Placentia over the tax dispute, and whether or not there's going to be any leeway there.
Okay, well, the issue with the the issue with the tax dispute is that we have a tax agreement in place with the ports, and it's the former council and council before have worked that out. They're having an issue down there now with this company Pattern pulled out, and there's a shortfall there of X amount of dollars. And they're looking to figure out a way that they can proceed with this process. Now, as for the town, if we change the tax structure for them, I have a lot of businesses in this town that are struggling right now the same as them. So do I give the tax break to all businesses? That's the issue and the dilemma the council has right now. So I'd much rather if we work with them to get either another investor, like for another investor to come in and pick up the slack on their end, and or even the provincial and the federal government's partnership with even some contracts in regards to our defence. I mean, defence is pushing a lot of money now. We do have one of the only places in Canada that has American soil. It's the former T building in Argentia. So we have a presence from the U.S. here, and there is particularly a position where Canada and the U.S. military are planning on doing a new building down on that site. So the Americans think this is important enough, so should our own governments.
Hard to disagree with that. I'm just curious too, as well, the fact that that disputes. I know that I think the port recently, they removed a mayor representative of the town from the board, and then the port refused to open its books to the town, all that sort of thing. I'm just wondering, I think the Port of Argentia had mentioned, I think Mr. Penny had mentioned that you need to be more open-minded and look at the bigger picture as opposed to immediate tax income, as to the larger picture down the road of how much we need to be in concert with each other. Does any of that ring true, or how's your response to that?
Well, I mean, that's their role. They have a role to play, and I have a role to play as the mayor. And, of course, I will tell you, you're very well up to date on the current issues of Placentia. I like that.
Kind of have to be, but it's very much by the seat of my pants here at the moment.
Yeah, no, I must say I'm impressed. But and it's great to be able to talk to people that are very familiar with the area. So I will tell you, look, the Port of Argentia, and I was deputy mayor years ago in the infancy stages of all this stuff that was going on back when. And the port, when the government turned the port over, or the land over to the AMA, it was called the Argentia Management Authority. The sole purpose of that, it was a volunteer board, and it was a volunteer operation, and the board members in that solely looked after the region, not just Placentia, but the Fox Harbour, Ship Harbour, the Cape Shore. It was supposed to create economic boom and revenue for all these areas. So, of course, over the course of the years, it was slow starting to get up and running and stuff like that. So there was, instead of a tax agreement, there was a grant in lieu, very minimum, because the town do provide all the services to the port itself, like our water resources, snow clearing, maintenance, all that. So anyway, that went on for years and years. So finally, when the big projects were starting down there, they took it upon themselves, the council and that, to work out with them agreement. And once again, that's an agreement between the two parties. So they agreed to it. And it was a 20% tax deal. And on the top, like in the course of 5 years, the town received, say, $6 million or so. So that means the port had over 30 million. So a lot of that money goes into investing and all this stuff for the port itself, as do our tax regime of 20% goes into investing in our community. That's why we see these extra little projects going on in our town now.
Yep.
And we can do it because of that.
So it's the due diligence. It's the due diligence on both sides.
Exactly, it is, right? And that's why, like, for me, when I spoke with 3 ministers last week, and even my own CAO of the town brought up that I'm the one that mentioned about Argentia, not them. And I'm the one that's pushing Argentia. Even though the tax structure is there and I don't want to touch it, I'm still pushing Argentia.
Sure.
And once again, I mean, I got no problem talking to anybody in Ottawa or anybody in the House of Assembly or whatever and discuss Argentia, how important it is to this community, and not only the community but the province itself.
Yep.
Very, very vital for economic growth.
Jamie, I appreciate the time. Thanks for.
I got one of my own issues now. You asked me them, but I'm going to tell you one.
I got the minister, and I'm a little past the break, but go real quick.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the only thing. I did discuss this with the minister last week and his officials with the Department of Highways. So in my town over the last few years, there's been issues with the access road, the highway that connects us with the TCH. So halfway is Whitburn looks after it, and the other half is looked after by our own highways depot. So I'm after becoming aware now that on the highway they use a salt mix, and that truck is coming in halfway. The other side, we use a salt sand mix, and that goes the other half. So there's inconsistency on the access road on our side all the time. So I met with the minister, and they assured me they're going to look into it, but I wanted to give the public an update of why that is. It's not the operator on the truck. It's not the different equipment. It's the salt sand mix and the salt. So now I recommended to the government that they continue the Whitburn truck into the turnaround at the dirt road at the beginning of our town and then go back. That will give total consistency on the access road. And not only that, for even people coming in, like when you're driving on that road, that's a 100-kilometer road, the same as the TCH. So I just want to give the public an update of that is the issue there with the inconsistency. Okay. And I would like to just give them an update. And the current government is looking at it as well.
Perfect.
Anyway, that's it. And I will also, too, on a positive note, say that yesterday's snowstorm with the mixture we had in our community of the slush and snow and the whole 9 yards, we did have excellent snow clearing yesterday from both the municipal and federal or provincial levels.
Good note to leave it on. I'm sure the minister will be happy to hear that.
I always like to end on a good note. Anyway, and I must say I appreciate what the minister done for us last week too as well. Thank you.
Great. Okay, Placentia Mayor Jamie, listen, thanks for the time. Thanks for taking a couple of side questions as well. Appreciate it. All right, let's take the break real quick and right back with the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure as advertised, Barry Pettin, right after the break. Come back to the show. Last caller for this morning is Barry Pettin, the Deputy Premier, Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure and Public Procurement, and the CBS MHA for CBS Conception Bay South. Good morning, Minister. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Great. Thanks for making time for us. Is this a, be careful what you wish for kind of thing?
No, actually, it's we've had a good. I drove in. Actually, I just came in over the highway myself from CBS, and the roads are great. It's actually a very quite pleasant drive.
You're biased.
Well, we've taken. I mean, I should say our crews have taken a lot of criticism of this winter, and I mean, I always say it's not the crews, it's me. I mean, I'm the minister, made decisions, and they're very valuable asset to us, and. I mean, people don't realise sometimes too, and when you're out on the highway, it's not like the clearing snow on Kmart Road or Route 60. You're out on the highway. You've got no protection. You're out in the elements, and driving those big flyers, and it's not made for everyone. It's not everyone wants. And they do it, and they do it with a lot of passion and dedication, and sometimes they don't get enough credit. Because I think a lot of times we hear a lot of complaints and what have you, and fair game. But in fairness to them, they're only one person, and they're operating a piece of equipment, and they're doing their best. And I've always admired the work they've done. And sometimes it falls back on us to get enough from out there to do the work, and that's a challenge in recruitment. But we're working on that as well. But no, hats off to them. They've done a great job, and as the winter's going on, there's improvements happening because we're getting more crew staffed up and better outcomes. So we had a big snowfall, but it's quite remarkable. A few hours after it ends, we're all back to normal, and everything looks great. So hats off.
Yeah, and sometimes a plow, unfortunately, in the bad weather, can go off the road. Do you have any update on what happened there out around the Foxtrap access this morning, and whether or not that's cleared away? Get it right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, as far as I know, the trucks have been moved, or if not moved, they're being moved. They're in the median of the highway. It was no serious damage. It's one of those things, again, it comes out to, you're out in the middle of that highway, and you're dealing with whiteout conditions, and even the most skilled drivers, these things will happen. So it's just a testament to how challenging it is to clear our provincial highways. Any snowstorm, it's a very challenging job.
Absolutely. Condition speaks to the conditions. Minister, I've only got a few minutes. I wanted to, of course, address just the breakwater situation. There's a ton of stuff. I'd love to talk about St. Clair's maybe another day, and just the whole thinking on the infrastructure changes. But maybe you can give us a quick update just for the benefit of the mayors in Placentia and Peters River St. Vincent.
So we're talking about the Placentia seawall or the Trapasty breakwaters? There's many acres with breakwaters.
I know we had Verna Hayward on for St. Vincent's, Peters River. Oh, my God. I always mess those three up, but it's the Trapasty breakwater. I know that there was
no, it's Trapasty.
The end of last year, I think, was it? The fall, it was let, the tender for that? Or the plan?
Yeah, we put it in. Construction this past fall. Actually, the work has started. A lot of it is off-site, so a lot of it is on-site. So they're working away on the new breakwater, which will be a Armorstone gabion basket setup, which will fare a lot better than what's there. Because what's there wasn't adequate. It wasn't engineering, wasn't done appropriately. So right now, actually, the old breakwater, the existing one that's being replaced, is after collapsing, causing major problems down the road, and they've called a state of emergency. So we're working on that. I guess over at emergencies with the Minister of Commerce Department, they're all working on that. When the state of emergency is called, PIAT will kick in and they will take over the situation as best as they see fit. From our end of it, we have Rock Construction out there. They've committed that they will assist. Right now, we're on site with equipment doing the new breakwater. Any assistance we require, because it is kind of remote when you look at it. It's a fair distance away. They're willing to help us out right now and immediate to try to alleviate the problem. So we're working on it. It's a serious situation, and no one wants anyone's roadways, and it's a community that's cut out. It cuts them off from vital free connection to the rest of us, and it's very important that we get this under control, and I'm sure we will. It's just a matter of time. It's unfortunate that severe climates.
Yeah.
In February, we have severe weather, and unfortunately, extreme events are happening around us all the time, and this happens to be just another one.
It's a slog, especially this time of year, to be getting that. Everybody loves to hear a completion date. Do you have one for that breakwater?
No, I'm not sure exactly. I don't think they're not anticipating it to be, too long. I think the biggest job is the off-site stuff, and then, with these baskets, I mean, they had to be filled with rock, and then you got to truck the Armorstone. So I'm not sure. I don't know if they got a real set, etched in stone, but I mean, it wasn't anticipated to take too long. But again, understanding we're doing it in the dead of winter, out on the Trapasty, out the side of the ocean. So it's far from our ideal conditions. Sure. And so but I mean, they're working on it. So we're, as soon as it can get done, we'll all be happy, especially the residents of Trapassi.
And you have 30 seconds there for Mayor Jamie Neville about his breakwater in Placentia.
Yeah, we had a meeting with them last week, and we committed that we'd work with them, the federal government, to try to find solutions. But we need to figure out what we need to fix first. So we're going to do some engineering studies on it, figure out what's required, and what's necessary, and what the cost would look like. And we're going to work from that end of it, and hopefully we can get some partnerships with the federal government and the municipality, and try to get that one resolved as well, because that too is a serious issue.
Fantastic, Minister. Just because of the clock, I'd love to have you back again when you have some time this week or next. Try to just get an update on the 24-hour snow clearing and how your staffing search goes and all the infrastructure. There's a ton of stuff. I just appreciate your time, and I apologize profusely for the rush today.
No sweat, no problem. Take care,
Great.
Brian.
Take care of yourself.
Okay, bye.
All right, that'll do it for this. A great one today. Thanks, Dave Williams, behind the glass, keeping a steady hand. Be careful out there. Drive safely. Arrive alive, everybody. VOCM cares.